November 23rd, 2021 meeting of the Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh.
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends newspaper, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Amen. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Dreesy?
I am here.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Hurd?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mayor Russell?
Here.
We have a quorum.
There are no presentations scheduled for this evening. At this time, if there are any reports or comments from any volunteers serving our community. Joe?
Good evening. My name is Joe DeFranco. I'm here on behalf of the Economic Development Advisory Committee. Last evening, I presented alongside members of the Economic Development Committee at the Chamber of Commerce meeting. And essentially, our presentation was about revisiting the Property Tax Rewards Program, formerly known as Pequannock. Also, there was a representative from FinCredit, who is the service provider of the Property Tax Rewards Program. And essentially what we did was try to solicit interest in bringing back the program. I had mailed the old flyers, I think it was 11 by 18, and demonstrated to them that it was a success at one point. And what we're trying to do with the EDC is basically, rather than reinvent the wheel, try to re-envision it, refresh it, and put a new face to it. Repurpose it, re-educate the public, residents, as well as business owners, and involve FBLA in some capacity in part of that re-education. So I just wanted to provide a report as to the status of that. It's kind of an ongoing thing. I think it's going to be successful. Overall, the chamber seemed fairly interested in doing it. FinCredit was there, answered a lot of the questions that they had. And I think that with the technological advances that have come a long way with the program, with there no longer being a terminal that merchants would have to pay $100 with there now being an app, with the Meet the Merchant email blasts that go out, getting businesses at the forefront and at residents' fingertips, I think it could be extremely beneficial and sort of bring businesses into people's homes a little bit easier and bring some relief to them, especially now, that we're a little bit on the other side of the pandemic. And on another side of it, I think that it's something that we can market through our EDC budget in the way of banners on Newark Pompton Turnpike, and also with quarterly tax mailers, decals for businesses that are participating in it. Those are just some of the ideas that we've kind of been kicking around with the EDC. Overall, I think that we've been pretty active in our engagement with this program, or trying to redevelop it, and just wanted to provide a report, and would like your support in this endeavor.
It never stopped, though. It still goes on.
It's still active. There's currently 9 businesses that are still enrolled.
Okay.
It's just that there isn't a whole lot of name recognition amongst residents. But we want to do it right before we roll it out again. It wouldn't make much sense for us to really roll it out without there being more businesses participating in it.
Right.
So it's really just getting the education right.
So you really just got to go to the businesses and get them
rebranding
to sign
it
up.
right. And last night was really the first step in gauging interest in amongst a concentration of business owners, seeing what their thoughts were, and it was, it got a good response.
Good.
Yeah.
Quick question. So now we don't need to get a terminal anymore?
Correct.
It's just, do you still have to kind of buy into the program, or is it?
So the merchants would have to pay $10 a month.
No, that's
Yeah.
a lot better than what it was. I mean, that was one of the difficulties when we originally implemented it, but it did start off great, and then it just kind of waned out a little bit, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I had to kind of learn about the program too, because when it was first implemented in 2011, I think it was, it was kind of, I mean, for its time, I'm sure it was pretty nuanced, but,
Yeah.
I had to kind of learn about the program as well. And so, but I thought, what could we do for the businesses? And when I learned that this was still kind of active, I said, well, let's bring in the service provider. And we did that at our September meeting. And we had them bring in the metrics, bring in the businesses, let's get a report on what's going on. And that's when they said, it's still active, there's still 9 businesses that are still involved. And I said, well, should we transition to a new service provider and maybe pivot to something else? And I said, rather than kind of, doing it all over again, let's stick with this and just refresh it, revisit, re-envision it.
Right.
And I think getting FBLA involved with it, the school, to some capacity, I reached out to the teacher liaison today about how we can kind of get them involved with it. I think that they could be a driving force behind, sort of what it could look like, the future of it. So.
Great.
I think it's great. It helps the residents of Pequannock, it helps the business owners in Pequannock, it really takes care of everything, and really has them, think about when they're going to purchase something, if they can do it in town, everybody wins. So,
I agree.
excellent.
Did
Thank you.
FinCredit say how many towns? Do they have other towns?
Yeah, I think they have upwards of 25 other municipalities. And I think the biggest thing that I heard from the business owners that was there was the education aspect of it. How do they enroll in the program? If they run into an issue, where do they go if they have questions? And I think that our website, our EDC website, could be a clearinghouse of information, which we could model after some of the model municipalities that are successful in this program. I think Brick is a community that does this program well, and they have their EDC website with a list of FAQs that takes them to where they need to go as a reference if they're stuck for residents and for merchants too.
I was a member, but I never used it. I just felt funny using it.
I used it. I used to use it all the time at Corners.
And I think what happened over the years, people would forget to use it. And then when the merchants were having trouble using the machine or it broke or something, they'd just be like, oh, I'll give you the discount anyway. That type of thing. Remember they said that?
Right.
And there's actually there's about 30% of the population that is currently still
Yeah, I
enrolled
think
in
they
the
said
program. Whether they're
1900.
using it or not, I don't know. But 1,900 are enrolled as far as residents.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know if that considers all people that had moved out or...
Right, well, the new people don't know about it.
Right, yeah, exactly.
That's good. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Anyone else? Frank? He knows I'm looking at you. The next item on the agenda is public comments. The public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period for public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized, come to the microphone, and provide your name and address for the record. Representative. The next item on our agenda is the manager's report. Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Mayor. First, my compliments to Mr. DeFranco and the EDAC and the Chamber. I think they really grabbed onto the idea and ran with it and did a lot of research, so it could definitely benefit everybody, and it's nice energy to have for something that could reinvigorate it. So, Joe, thanks for your efforts. With respect to my report, a couple of items. First, from the last meeting, there was a question regarding the banner size. 30 feet, Joe, by 2.5 feet, by 2.5 to 2.9 feet. Those are the size of the banners that go across the turnpike. So if you ever want to get a quote for that, those are the
30 feet by 2.5.
30 feet by 2.5, and it could go as big as 2.9. There's a little bit of range there for 2.5.
All right, thank
There's
you.
a question with respect to the affordable housing transaction process. So I reached out to Piazza & Associates, the township's affordable housing consultant, and was provided with a response, which I'll just kind of summarize. And essentially, people will express their interest. They'll be put on a list. When a house, or a unit rather, becomes available, it will be promoted, and people who are on the list will be sent a pre-qualification package. Anybody who expresses interest will be sent a pre-qualification package. The people who respond within the prescribed time period then are put into a lottery, which shuffles them up randomly, which creates then a list with which the administrative agent works down to find someone to buy the unit. I think if I understood Mr. Cole's question and maybe some past practice issues, it appears that there may have been a change in practice with the new administrative agent whereby there used to be just a list, and then they would work down that list. So if there's a desire of the council to change that, I'd be happy to relay a request to the Affordable Housing Administrative Agent, and unless there's any issues, that can be implemented, and if there are issues, I'll circle back to the council and let you know what those are.
So just to clarify, now every time a unit comes up, everybody in that list it's a lottery and you pull one of them out.
Basically, there's two lists. There's an existing list that's told about it, and then anybody that responds is put into a bucket which is shuffled up to create what I'll call the pick list, to keep with Pequannock. And then it goes down.
Anyone that fills out the application.
Anybody pre-qualifies for it, right? So that way you don't have people that can't get the funding or other issues. And then they work down that list once it's created to find somebody.
My only concern would be for somebody that has put their application in and been qualified several times, and just because they have bad luck in the lottery.
You could keep coming out 15, right?
Right, so that would be my only concern with the process.
Do we want to make it first come, first serve?
And there was a specific woman that was on the list waiting for a ground floor unit because she has disabilities.
Right, and twice.
And, if one comes available now after she's been on this list waiting for 4 years and she goes in the lottery and she doesn't get it, I don't think that's really treating her
That's what happened,
fairly.
I think twice that happened to her, and it was
So
over
let's
2 years.
request to go back to your first come, first serve.
Well, we can do that if they know who was there.
Yeah, I think we have to check with our administrative agent to be sure that that's still okay.
Well, and that's the issue, is, as I mentioned, I'll have to take the request to the administrative agent to see
to see if
if
there
may
there's
not
a
be
regulation or
permitted
rule that's compliant.
So
that's why if there is an issue, I'll bring that back. If there is no issue, then they can implement it.
Okay.
The other thing is, do we know how many people are on the list? I mean, how many people are on a list for a one-bedroom? How many people are on the list for a two-bedroom? I mean, they could be doing a lottery with two people.
Yeah, I think sometimes they are.
Right.
I don't think we have plentiful lists.
No, I don't think so either.
No, I don't think so. I remember it used to be like hard to get somebody.
Yeah, we had a time when we would
advertise
supplement
on
our list.
77
Yeah.
Right.
and,
Right.
do everything we could to try to get somebody to
Yeah, if you
show
can
interest.
check that, that would be.
And one of the benefits of having the administrative agent is there is access to a website that promotes it to a much larger audience, and there's more people involved, which benefits the seller. Unfortunately, it doesn't benefit the woman who wants the one-floor unit. There's always a double edge to the sword,
Right.
where you have a greater ability to have a transaction in a more timely manner, but then somebody may get, So I'll check with them to see if that's a possibility, and I'll bring that answer back to the council. And then you're welcome. The last question from last meeting was about towing fees, and yes, there are existing towing fees in the ordinance. I've printed them in my memo, which is also posted on the website, but won't recite them for the benefit of boring the tears off of a generous audience.
I do have one question about the towing fees. So we're opening up to four individuals to possibly come in and tow in Pequannock. I see there is an outside storage fee, but it doesn't say anything about inside storage. So if one of these people that come into town has a facility outside of Pequannock that they can store cars inside, do we want to make sure that we have a fee for that? Because
would we,
Or do we want to just say storage inside or outside is $45 a day?
I think so. I also think inside storage would be pretty unusual for them to do it, but I guess it's possible.
Yeah,
Possible.
it is
Somebody-
possible.
It is possible. Yeah, I think storage should be storage, and either indoor or outdoor storage. I don't know that we...
Right, so I think the only thing that we should do is just put storage, inside or outside, is $45. This way, it's clear cut. Somebody that does come in does have a warehouse that can, I don't want anybody charging $100 a day for inside storage.
Right.
Because we know how that works, I want to pick my car up on Friday, oh, sorry, you can't pick it up on Friday. You can pick it up on Monday, though, and they end up with an extra $300 in storage.
Yeah, it could just be a correction that we make.
Yeah, and I'm fine, everything else looked okay with me.
If we hold on that a little bit, Dave, to see when we roll out this program and we start administering, we may find there's a few other things in that ordinance that need some tweaking, shall we say? It's sort of the kind of thing that we maybe can tweak at that time, rather than go through the whole publishing another ordinance
Right.
just for that.
So if I understand it, we're going to give a little bit of time, but this, that is something that'll be addressed?
Yeah,
Is that good
that
with
would be my
everybody? I just wanna make sure
recommendation,
I'm
because I
clear on the
bet you when
direction.
we roll this out and we do this the right way, we're going to get some comments about other aspects of our ordinance that people
Okay.
recommend
Right,
we
as long as
revisit.
we don't forget that.
I don't think there's any place in
I
town
don't
right
think
now that
there
could
is.
offer inside storage.
think so either.
But,
It could happen in the
it could happen in
You're right.
Wayne, it could happen, in a surrounding town.
You're right,
And we're going to be preparing an application,
correct.
so that perhaps could be a question that we will add to said application.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Take it
Is your
out.
Sure, we
storage
can see
inside
if
or
we even have
outside?
any.
Right. And then the answer may be provided through the application process.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Forgive me while I just make a note. Next up, this evening, we have the zoning ordinance, which, again, presentation, lots of discussion, some questions, more discussion, was introduced. It was reviewed by the planning board, determined to be consistent with the master plan and scheduled for public hearing and adoption. We have the aforementioned towing ordinance, which I won't go into more detail on. And there's a resolution for the governing body's consideration this evening on the agenda for the fire department's Company 2's bylaws. They've proposed a change which essentially requires an officer to have greater experience in the position prior to that level in order to be eligible for that level. So you will have to have served as a second lieutenant to be a first lieutenant to be a captain, which for anybody following the ranks of the military seems logical, but apparently that wasn't something that was there. And lastly, I wish everybody a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully the season is a little bit more relaxed and calm and positive than, last year's might have been with some anxieties. So, gobble, gobble, everybody.
Yeah,
Really? Did you just say that?
I did.
I think you did. It's on tape.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Next on the agenda, public hearing on ordinance number 2021-16. Ms. Marsh.
Ordinance number 2021-16 is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 360 zoning of the Code of the Township of Pequannock.
Are there any comments from council?
nope.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If anyone in the audience has questions or comments on this ordinance, please come to the microphone and identify yourself for the record. Making sure I can see everybody behind the pole. Is there a motion to close the
I'll
public
make
hearing?
that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2021-16.
May I have a second?
Second it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dracy?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mayor Russell?
Yes. Next on the agenda is the public hearing on ordinance number 2021-17. Ms. Marsh.
Ordinance number 2021-17 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 352 of the Code of the Township of Pequannock and updating license requirements for wreckers.
Are there any comments from council? Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make the motion to open public hearing.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. If anyone in the audience has questions or comments about this ordinance, please come to the microphone and identify yourself for the record. Is there a motion to close this public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close it.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2021-17.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dracy?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mayor Russell?
Yes. Next on the agenda, there are no ordinance scheduled for introduction at this time. The next agenda item is resolutions. Ms. Marsh.
Beginning with Resolution R 2021-230, confirming that a cannabis manufacturing facility as proposed by Hillview Med Incorporated is a permitted conditional use. 231, approving revisions to Engine Company 2 bylaws. 232, authorizing tax office refunds, overpayments, or cancellations. And R 2021-233, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the November 19th, 2021 bill list.
Are there any comments on the resolutions from council?
Nope.
I just want to say congratulations. I know how hard you worked on this, and I'm looking forward to being a great partner with you guys in the coming years. Is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
Make a motion to adopt resolution R 2021-230 through R 2021-233.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Tracy?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mayor Russell?
Yes. There are no items listed for discussion, and there are no reports or notices. The next item on our agenda is council reports and announcements. Councilman DeRisi.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. None of the committees met this time, but I do like, and I sent a note to Mr. Brewer about the fixing of the pavers along the turnpike. It looks so much better. Because when they go in, they look real good, but after some time, they don't look so good. So, very good on that. And then also just, the Rotary had a veterans lunch a couple of weeks back. We do it, they do it every year. Probably had about 85 people there this year.
Wow.
Ben was there, the guy that turned 100. And there was somebody there that came that was 102, but he had to leave, so.
You had a date?
I don't know, I think he got a little anxious or whatever.
He
so
needed a nap.
He had his driver leave, but it was a really nice lunch. They went around the room, all the veterans introduced themselves, said, where they serve, so.
That's great.
It's a great thing every year. So.
That's awesome.
That is it.
Councilwoman Florence Lynch?
Yes, the flood committee met. They went over the flood resilience officers report. On our home elevation projects, 38 homes are complete, and there's 39 more that are progressing and funded. And we put in the application for the 2021. We haven't heard on that yet. The flood safety brochure was mailed out to all the residents. You should have all gotten that. That helps with our rating system and education that we have to do with the residents. And there were discussions about developing a formalized process for a substantial damage plan, like exactly what, even though we know what to do after a flood or whatever, it's just they want to formalize more the communication methods, have a pre-populated database to work from after major flood events, so that's something that is being worked on, in the town. What else? And then there will be a few, flood insurance rates. There's going to be on the National Flood Insurance Program with new policyholders. There's a change that went into effect October 2nd of this year, and for current policyholders, that's going to start April 1st. So of next year. So we're going to get a presentation on the details of that program at the next committee meeting. And we all know where we are with the map appeals. We think worst case scenario, FEMA will have their maps done by like November or next year, with adoption by May of the following year. That's what we're hearing with the dates.
2023.
So, yeah, 2023. So that's worst case scenario.
And do we know if they accepted our changes or no?
Now they're on schedule, but they have not.
Yeah, the process is going. We have, we meet every 3 weeks, and there have been some elements of our data that has benefited homeowners. Exactly what that's going to be, it would be premature to say, but it appears that the area that is impacted is being more realistic to what is actually impacted as opposed to the initial maps that were preliminarily issued.
All right, the next flood meeting is December 9th at 7:30. Senior Citizen Advisory Group, they just asked the question about the tables. I'm assuming that that's just caught up in the supply chain, is that? Because we ordered new tables, right?
Yeah, there was an order placed and things came in that were sent back because they were unacceptable.
Right.
And then it may be a subject of the budget discussion for 2022 because of funding.
Yeah, but if the tables came in and they were wrong, didn't we?
They weren't very nice.
Yeah,
We
but-
may need better tables. And if better tables could be more expensive.
So, okay, so it wasn't like a replacement.
I'll get back to you on a
thing. It's
definitive.
all
I have to
budget.
check to
Okay.
see if they ordered something different.
We were thinking they were
in
ordered.
less quantity. There was stuff that ordered and they came in and they were poor. So
Yeah, but I was thinking there was something ordered after they went back.
There may have been, but,
Okay.
or it may be, I don't remember where we landed on whether or not it might be
Okay.
a 2022 budget.
All right. What else? Yeah. And obviously, we had a presentation already on the Economic Development Committee. Like I said, the meeting went great with the Chamber of Commerce. There was probably, a good 35 people there. They got input from the business owners. They asked a lot of questions. And it's amazing how a lot of them didn't know about the program. Some did. Some felt that if it was, reintroduced, they were excited about it and wanted to do it, so we shall see. More to come. I think what they're going to do is the Chamber's going to try to identify their roles, EDC will identify their roles, they'll, try to really, now with the technology and stuff, they just feel like we can just promote it so much more, so. Okay.
Councilman Hurd?
Thank you, Mayor. None of my meetings occurred.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Gobble, gobble.
I gotta follow that. Let's see. I want to say that I had a great time down at League of Municipalities. I learned a lot, safety, security, processes, all that fun stuff. What else do I have? Really nothing, other than gobble gobble, enjoy your Thanksgiving.
Oh, my God.
And don't forget, this Sunday is the tree lighting at 6 o'clock,
Thank
right?
you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's all I have. Thank
What's the
you.
date on that, Rye?
Sunday, November
11/28.
28th.
There you go.
It starts at 4 o'clock.
4 to
4?
6.
Well, they're going to have a lot of stuff for the kids.
Oh,
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to update.
Okay, Councilman Cole.
Yeah, so Celebration Hope and Light, it will be 11/28. There's 6 feet of new tree. There's going to be a trackless train for kids, ice carving, a whole bunch of different things this year. So it starts at 4. There's going to be, the trucks are going to come in at 5. It seems like it's a whole big to-do this year, so.
Awesome.
Yep. TBSA met on 11/10, and I believe, Mr. Brewer, you got the email. They're requesting all the participating towns for build-out requests, and the reason they're doing that is they've been getting a number of requests from surrounding communities that want to tap into TBSA. They don't want to give away capacity if, the existing towns have future
Right.
plans.
Especially since we did that whole big thing
Yeah.
to let us know how much capacity we had, and then, oh yeah, by the way, we gave it away.
Caldwell, West Caldwell, they all are looking for, capacity from TBSA, and they're not part of TBSA, so they don't want to do anything until they get the build-out. So you got the email, right?
I did, and I'm going to meet with Mr. Bongiovanni. We exchanged communications. Caldwell's sewage treatment plant was given a moratorium on expansion because of capacity issues. So that has led to the crisis. So then they're going to look to Precipity, they're going to look to us.
Right.
But we will lick our cupcake.
What a saying.
Yeah, sure. All of them today. We don't want anybody to take our cupcake.
Exactly.
It is our cupcake.
It's our
So we're going to
yeah.
mark our cupcake.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I just want to,
Okay.
congratulate all the First Day Squad members and officers for their dinner this last, the new officers.
that's right.
That was a great time there, and just happy Thanksgiving to everyone. So enjoy it.
Gobble, gobble.
Yeah. What he said.
Okay. So the library, Brianna Colombo is doing a great job. And as some of you may or may not know, Nicholas has left. He found another position, and Brianna was promoted into the place, and everybody's very happy. Everybody's glad to see her. They are thinking of possibly going back to in-person meetings in January. The next meeting of the library is December 15th. Environmental Club met and just discussed, they're doing a styrofoam collection, so when you open all your Christmas TVs, save the styrofoam. We're doing a collection on January 8th, which is the same date as the Polar Plunge. So you bring your stuff, Peter, you go swimming, and then you come back, and then you get your styrofoam, and we're gonna collect it, and we bring it to a disposal place, and there'll be a couple trucks to go, so.
Is that at PV Park too, the collection?
That is going to be at PV Park also, so that's kind of cool. They wanted to do it before January, and then I thought, everybody's getting, we all thought, everybody's getting stuff for Christmas, might as well, who's going to save it? But that's a good thing, because, styrofoam does not break down on its own, so. Great time at the installation dinner. It's amazing to hear how many hours they put in, and they really did have, I wish we could play it here one day, maybe we should ask them for it. They had a great video, and it was just, the good times, the bad times, like you saw the fires, but then you saw them laughing. So, not at the fires. But it was really good. I know. Don't even. Atlantic City was good. I wish there was a little more information on the recovery money. There really was zero on that. But there was a lot on ethics, and we all took our training to get our things. I also was lucky enough to meet with some brownies last night at the library, and they asked a lot of great questions about what we do, and I did talk about you. I gave you your due and spoke about all of us and how we work, and it's just so great when you meet with kids who are interested in the government, because when they're allowed to just ask the questions that they want to ask, they ask like the greatest things, and it was so fun. It was so easy to talk to them too. They're not judgmental. They're not this. They just a great bunch of girls.
Nobody said, my dad wants to know why my leaves aren't picked up.
No.
Better be before Thanksgiving.
Right? And it's so funny, because that's what, they said, do you get a lot of phone calls? And I said, sometimes people call me when their garbage isn't picked up. And one of the girls was like, I'm like, but I really can't do anything about that. I usually just tell people, wait a day and they'll come, or maybe they're behind or something like that. But they were very, very nice. And that's all I have. Next on the agenda is public comment. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized, come to the microphone and provide your name and address for the record.
There's a rush tonight.
Moving right along. There are no minutes presented for approval, and there are no items listed for closed session discussion. There being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
A second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 7:34.